Pen sat on the bench by her locker, humming to herself as she worked the dirt from her armor. It had been a scuffed drop, but they handled it like always. Honestly, she enjoyed the calm private time. Cleaning was a mundane enough task that it let her mind drift. The Mullen, a baritone voice, matched her humming from the mudroom doorway. "Sir," Pen greeted without looking up. "I think that's how it goes anyway." "It's been a while." Alvarez walked in and sat down near his own locker. "I didn't know it had words." "I just remember the tune," she said, still focused on her work. "It was a favorite of Mama's. Alessia used to cry and cry when she was a baby. One day, Mama came over, heard her crying, and started singing. Instantly, Alessia went quiet. 5 minutes later, she was fast asleep." Alvarez chuckled. "Grandma knows best, huh?" "Always." "How old are they now?" "Davi's about to turn 3, and Alessia turned 6 last month. They're lucky kids." "What about you?" Alvarez asked. "What about me?" "Kids, you mean?" Penelope smiled at the thought. "Yeah," Alvarez replied with a grin. "Ha! Not a chance." She laughed. "That's fair." "You'd make a terrible parent," he teased. "I agree wholeheartedly. Muck, ringing ears, and gunfire I can handle. A kid? No thanks." Pen couldn't stop the grin on her face. "They don't come with a training manual, that's for sure. And yet, I can't wait to get back to them." "Yeah, how long till you take that cushy promotion and hang up your helmet?" "You gunning for my job, Sergeant?" Alvarez's smile grew. "Didn't I just say I'm not interested in taking care of children?" Alvarez laughed heartily. "In all honesty, Pen, you're my first choice." "Please, Ashera." "Ashera will likely leave with me when the time comes. We're both getting up there." "Nurse, then." "Awali's medical. He's dedicated to it. And don't even think about the other 2 idiots." Penelope chuckled. "Mac and Hin were special in the way that you never left them alone, because things tended to catch fire or explode if you did." "Yeah, fine, when the time comes, I'll take it. But on one condition." "Which is?" "Those care packages with your mother's ricilla keep coming." "Deal." "Don't worry, though, it won't be for a while." Alvarez gave her a smile as he left the room, his humming slowly fading as he walked further down the corridor. Pen picked up the tune again, humming to herself as she continued cleaning her armor. It was spotless by the time she was finished. The dream shifted in that strange way dreams do. Suddenly, she was sitting in their training room. The whole team was there, smiles and cheers all around. Nothing was happening, or time didn't seem to move forward. It was just a moment, frozen in time. The captain was handing out small metal cups to each of them. Ashera leaned against the wall, listening to Awali talk about the antics he and his brother got up to as kids. Meanwhile, Mac and Hin were trying to jab each other in the side without getting jabbed first. She felt the warmth spread through her as she sipped from the cup. It was too potent, though, and she realized she was dreaming. The dream shifted from an experience to a memory, and she felt herself waking up. She sighed, ruing the loss of the moment, but still carried the warm feeling it left her with. After lying in her cot for a few more minutes, she got up, dressed, and got back to business as usual. The morning had been uneventful. After her workout, Pen walked to the bridge and sat at her console. Gareth immediately took his leave, leaving Deeg and Pen alone. Deeg kept an eye on the ship's systems while Pen decided to look over the digital user manual for the Blue Nebula's Arccaster. It was years ahead of anything humans had, but the premise was simple enough, mostly a matter of design efficiency. A scientist might have had more to say about it, but Pen was satisfied knowing how to operate it. After a long stretch of silence, Deeg spoke up. "Hey, we're not too far from our destination now, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity. I had Tunny T pick up some Terran food at the station. Naturally, they didn't have any, so they did the best they could with substitutes. How does sharing a meal sound? You don't mean like a date, right?" Pen turned her head and glanced at him sideways. "A date? Like time? A date is a romantic thing." "Oh, no. No. Just a meal between friends. Not just the two of us either. I invited Tunny T, Thwill, and Gareth. It's a thank you for coming along." "Okay, yeah, that sounds nice. If anything, I want to see what the hell Tunny T comes up with. I didn't think human cuisine was something they knew much about. I don't think it is. I expect they might find you sometime today." "Oh, I doubt I'll be much help." "Why's that?" "Suffice it to say, Gareth could probably cook a better meal than me. You could drop me in the wilderness, and I'd survive, but there's a difference between sustenance and cuisine. Oddly enough, Gareth is quite the cook among his own people. Tonight, though? Huh. Interesting, but yeah, that works for me." "Excellent." They traded conversation for a short while before Tunny T, as expected, showed up to request Penelope's help with human food. The gap between human and Ashan dietary needs was wider than Pen imagined. At one point, Gareth even came in and berated Tunny T for taking too scientific an approach to food. In the end, Tunny T stuck to baking bread while Gareth took over the rest of the meal. There was a lot of trial and error. The meal was either going to be delicious or an unmitigated disaster, and Pen found herself not caring much either way. Food was eventually ferried out to the eating area, labeled with tags indicating what was safe for whom. Deeg's people could eat some types of meat, though certain spices were toxic to them. Gareth, Tunny T, and Thwill couldn't eat meat, but found bread to be delicious. Pen, if you don't mind my asking, how old are you?" Tunny T asked as they began eating. "Not at all. I'm 32, which is 32 loops of Earth around the sun." Yes, no need to explain. The translator does the conversion for you." "We all know what a year is," Gareth muttered, something about humanity's refusal to use the galactic standard. "No need to be rude, Gareth. Besides, the number is meaningless without context. 32 years out of how many, on average?" Deeg asked. "Most people nowadays live to be around 110 to 130. It used to be less, of course, But I'm sure life expectancy increasing with medical technology is universal, Penelope replied. More or less. Though your people do benefit from an impressive ability to recover from wounds, Tunny T remarked, motioning to the bruise on Penelope's jaw. Despite their best efforts, Gareth muttered. Gareth, Tunny T began, but Penelope raised a hand to stop them. It's fine. Gareth's entitled to his opinion, just as I'm entitled to mine about his cooking. That seemed to hurt Gareth. Oh? I don't remember you offering much help. I suppose I didn't stick a gun in the soup? Penn laughed. No, in all honesty, Gareth, you're a fair cook. Credit where it's due. Gareth huffed and went back to his meal. I must say, Terran cuisine has some interesting flavors, Deed noted. Tunny T's head cocked to the side as they seemed to consider something. I wonder if we're even tasting the same things. The same food, but perhaps each of our species interprets flavor differently. What would be fascinating is to find a way to impart one person's experience of a meal into another's mind. Then we'd truly know. That's probably a difficult task, Penn said with a smile. Unfortunately so, Tunny T mused as they jotted the idea down on their datapad. Miss Penelope, Thwill piped up, nibbling on a piece of bread. Have you been a warrior for all of those 32 years? No, Penelope chuckled. Humans take about 18 to 20 years to reach adulthood. I joined when I turned 18. That's quite some time, then, Deed commented. Penelope looked around at them, realizing they were curious but hesitant to pry too much. She sighed and continued eating, aware of the weight of the unspoken questions hanging in the air.